Hello and welcome back. In this video, you will learn about adding colors on web page in different ways. These are the different ways that CSS provides us to add colors. The first way, which is the simplest of all, is using color names. And this is exactly what we have been doing so far. And what makes this way so simple is that these are color names and we all know many color names. This is my HTML page where I have already created few paragraphs. Let's go to the style file. Here P is our selector in which I already add the color property and its value is red. I can change this color to blue, pink, yellow, grey, etc. CSS gives us a list of preset color names that are recognized and supported in the browsers, and whichever color you want you can simply type that color name. Here is the list of CSS color names, but there is an issue that these color names are limited. If you need to use a color in different shades or mix of different colors which may not be in the list. So this is a limitation of this color names option, that it has very limited color names. In fact, there are about 140 such color names that all the browsers understand and support. You can check out the list of these color names online as well. The best website for picking colors is htmlcolorcodes.com. Here if I select any color name, then it will jump to the all shades of that color. But what about the other colors that are not the part of this list? Well, for any other color we should try the other three options, which is RGB, HEX and HSL. Let's start with RGB colors. RGB stands for red, green and blue. What we do in this case is we will mix the three colors in different proportions to get the desired output color. So this is based on the fact that we can make any color of our choice by mixing the three primary color, which are red, green and blue. Now to use RGB colors we use a formula RGB, and then within brackets we have to input the three values, first for red, comma second for green, comma third for blue, and for each we can add a number between 0 and 255. Only the values between 0 and 255, and based on the different values that I have selected I will get the output color. Save it and open the file. I have added random values, so I got the final output color like this. For picking the desired color you can use Google and search for the color picker, but again I recommend this website. All you have to do is to select any color that you want, and here you will automatically get the desired RGB value. You just have to copy these RGB value from here and paste it in your code. You can select any color from right and you can select any shade from left. We also have an extended version of RGB which is called RGBA, and this additional A stands for alpha channel value. We use it when we want to specify the level of opacity, and we can provide any value between 0.0 and 1.0, where 0.0 is completely transparent whereas 1.0 is completely opaque or 0% transparent. So in code if I change RGB to RGBA, and for A value I type 0.5, which is technically 50% transparent and 50% opaque. Save it and refresh the browser. The background color has now become transparent by 50%. So RGBA gives us additional control over the transparency and opacity. So it is very useful way of adding color of our choice. Apart from this option we get another option which is hex value, which stands for hexadecimal values. In this we also has the same red, green and blue colors in different proportions, But for hex we start with hash, then the values in the form of double R, double G and double B. Now in this case the values goes from 0 to F, which means that the value can be completely alphabet like 6 times F. The first pair is for red, second pair is of green and the third pair is of blue. Or it can be completely numeric like 6 times 0 or both alphanumeric. You don't need to learn these. You can easily find the hex values almost anywhere you can find the RGB values. Like here you can see the hex values as well. You can simply copy paste it from here. You have to write hex value with hashtag. Save it and refresh the browser. Lastly, we have HSL option. HSL stands for hue, saturation and lightness. Here this hue means a degree from 0 to 360 on the color wheel, and saturation is the value in percentage of the intensity of the color. Like if we take any color, let's say black, then 100% will be pure black and no shade, whereas 50% means some shade and so on. And light is the amount of light on the color, which again is in percentage. So 100% is of course white, 0% is no light, which is black, and different values between 0 and 100% define the amount of light on the color. Again, you don't need to remember. There are websites available from where you can get the HSL values. You can see here HSL values are displaying. Just copy HSL values from here and paste it in our code. Hue value represented in numbers, whereas saturation and light values represented in percentage. Save it and refresh the browser. Similarly, like RGB, HSL also have alpha value channel. Alpha value specifies opaque and transparent value. So this was about CSS colors, and as a fun exercise you can try these different options with different combinations and find out the option that's more convenient for you. Well, in HTML, each element is essentially a rectangular box. This means that the paragraph element, the heading element, the div element, and even the body element all are invisible boxes that are invisible because by default they don't have any background color or borders. So we don't feel their presence. This is our page structures in which I have 3 paragraphs and 1 heading randomly. So first I am gonna add the border property that we will study in detail later. Save it and open the file. You can see here the heading, paragraph, all are rectangular boxes, and by controlling the properties of these rectangular boxes we can organize the elements on the page like the dimension, adjust their positioning, etc. For instance, if I add width property to paragraph elements and set it to 50%, save it and refresh the browser. You can see the width is reduced to 50% and by default it's 100%. Likewise, we can adjust other properties that I will talk about soon. But what I would like to explain first is the structure of the box, which is also known as the box model. And by knowing this box model, you can control the page content much more effectively. So here is the box model. Inside the box, we have the content area like for a paragraph or heading element. This could be the text content or for any other element like the div element. So content is whatever we have inside the element. After that the box has padding, border and margin, and each one of them occupies same space. The padding is the space between the content and the boundary of the box, and you can increase or decrease the padding size. We can have padding on each side of the box, and this inner space on the right is called padding right. Likewise, this inner space on the left is padding left. On the top and on the bottom ones or padding top and padding bottom respectively. Then what follows is the border. So the border is the boundary of the box. The right boundary is called border right. Left one is called border left, and the same way the top one and the bottom ones are border top and border bottom. The default property of border is set to none, which means no border. But just like I showed, we can add the border and specify the thickness. But when we don't add it, it set it to none. And finally, after the border we have margin, just like the padding. The inner space between the border and the content margin is the outer space between the border and the other elements. The inner space between the border and the content margin is the outer space between the border and the other elements. And we have right margin as right, left margin as left, and likewise margin top and margin bottom. So we can use margins to control the outer space. Let's now get back into the style document. Let's take this heading as an example. We already have set some borders for all the elements on the page inside the universal selector. So the changes that we are going to make are gonna be visible because we can see the box now. This will help you understand better. So let's start with the padding, which is the inner space, and set it to, let's say, 50 pixels. Now save it, and then before I refresh the page, I would like you to notice the space between the border and the content. Now after I refresh the page, it's going to increase 50 pixels, causing the box to expand. Go to the margin property and set it to, let's say, 50 pixels. Now I save again, and then if I refresh now, then the space outside will increase on all sides. But I would like you to notice the space between this heading and this paragraph element. So I refresh. Now the space between this heading and the paragraph element has increased as well. We see that each element is a box with three important properties: padding, which is the inner space between the content and the boundary; border, which is the boundary itself; and margin, which is the space outside the boundary. In this lesson, I am gonna talk about these three properties in more detail. So let's start with padding. In the last video, we added padding to the header element that increased the inner space from all four sides. And likewise, we added the margin that increased the outer space from all four sides. And this is because we provided only one value, which is 50 pixels for this padding, and again 50 pixels for margin. So when we write simply one value, like I write just padding, which is equal to 50 pixels here, it means that all the four sides, that is left, right, top, bottom, are 50 pixels. But how to provide different values for different sides? So in that case we have two options. The first one is very straightforward. Let's say you want to only specify the left padding value. So in that case you can provide padding left property and set its value. Let's make it 40 pixels. Now we have added the padding only to the left side. In the same way we can add padding right, and let's make it equal to 50 pixels. Then we can add padding top and let's make it 60 pixels. And lastly padding bottom and let's make it 70 pixels. Save it and refresh the browser. So now we have different values for different sides. This is same for margin as well. We can add margin left, margin right, margin top and margin bottom. Save it and refresh the browser. You can see the different values for different sides of margin also. This is one way. Let's now talk about the other way, which is also a shorthand way for different situations, and using that we can save these extra lines. So let's try to get the same result as these, padding left, right, top and bottom in just one line. So I add padding just like I did in the beginning, and then I add four values separated by space in an order. The order is that first we can add the top padding, which is 60 pixels, then space, and then the next value will be for the padding right, which we added as 50 pixels, and space again, and the third one is padding bottom, which we added as 70 pixels, and lastly the padding left as 40 pixels. So if we provide for values inside the padding property, then first one is going to be taken as the top padding, second one as the right padding, third one as the bottom padding, and fourth one as the left padding. So in just one line we can provide all four values. So if I remove the above four lines as I don't need them anymore, save it and refresh the browser, nothing changes. So this one is producing the same output. In the same way I can add the margin property and set the same values. Now you can also provide just three values. Now this time the first value means padding top, same as earlier. However, the second one means left and right, and the third one means padding bottom. So top padding is 60 pixels, right and left ones are 50 pixels each, and bottom one is 70 pixels. So you can use this method and you have the same left and right values. I save again and then reload the page. We have the padding size with same left and right padding, all 50 pixels each. If you add only two values, and this time first one means top and bottom and second one means left and right. So now the top and bottom padding are 60 pixels each and right and left padding are 50 pixels each. I save again and then refresh, and here is the output. So you can use this option when top and bottom are same values and left and right also have same values. And lastly, if we add only one value, and this means that top, bottom, left, right, each one is equal to 60 pixels. I save again and then refresh. Now all four sides have equal padding of 60 pixels. This is the same for margin as well. So if I keep only one margin value, save it and refresh the browser, all four sides have the same margin value. I can add two or three values as well, just like in case of padding. So these are the different ways you can specify the padding and margin properties values. Now one thing to remember here, you should go with this method only when you want to modify the values of all the four sides, because whether you keep one value, two value, three or four values, they mean something for each side. So when you want to specify the value for only one individual side, for example, if you want to specify only the left padding and keep all other padding values as default, then you can better use the padding left property and set its value. The same goes for margin as well. So that's it for this video. Keep practicing it and see you in the next video.